Good morning. My name is Frekhtman. I'm an attorney here in New York, a personal injury trial lawyer. And today I wanted to talk about a recent case that we were able to settle successfully, and the client was very happy, so much in fact that she wrote us a 5-star review on Google. And so the case was a trip and fall. It happened in the Brighton Beach neighborhood of Brooklyn, and it happened inside an apartment building. A lady was coming out of her apartment and she tripped and fell on some lobby stairs. And there was some wetness there, and there was also like a chipped step. It was a pretty minimal defect. And she had a lot of pain in her back, and it ended up being that she had what's known as a transverse process fracture. And so we filed a lawsuit against the landlord and the management company. And the insurance company was giving us the runaround. They were not offering anything. They were saying that your own client is at fault. They were saying that the fracture is minimal, it's going to heal. And they were offering something like $12,000 or $15,000. And this was during the time of the pandemic. This was during Corona. So we couldn't say, you know what, we don't want to take it, we're going to go to trial. So what did we do? Well, we sent them a strong demand letter. We said that we believe this case is worth X, and we put a number in there. It wasn't an astronomical number. It was a fair and reasonable number. And we said that this is like a window of opportunity for settlement, for us to negotiate in good faith. And once this expires, then the window will close, and then we're just going to litigate the case, prepare for trial. When trials resume, pick a jury, try the case. But if we're forced to do that, the demand is going to be much higher. It's not going to be this number that we put in the letter, but it's going to be double or triple the amount. And please notify your policyholder, your insured, because you have that duty of good faith and fair dealing with your own client. If you don't notify them, then that could be bad faith, and that could be a grounds for them to then sue you if the verdict is much higher. So we put all that in the letter, and the most important thing, and the purpose of this video, what we wanted to accomplish with this letter was to tell the client's human story. So we got photos from her photo album. We got her to send some photos from her Facebook. We really got to know her a little bit. And I was thinking about this, that we really got into the case. I spoke to her at length on the phone, and other attorneys spoke to her on Zoom so they could see her interacting with her kids and her husband and how this has really affected her life. And we learned a lot of things. We learned that before, she was working as a bookkeeper, as an accountant. And because she couldn't work as an accountant after the incident, she was forced to just stay home. And in the beginning, because of that fracture in the lower spine, she couldn't even do basic things like shower or put on her socks or get dressed in the morning. Then later, the fracture healed, she got better, but she still couldn't go to accounting school. And so she had to drop out of school. And a few other things changed for her too. For example, her husband was always going to work. And she was in charge of taking care of her son, taking her son to the playground, cooking meals, but she couldn't do it because she was in so much pain. So her son's parents actually had to move out of their apartment and move in with the family. And her son's parents, who were in their late 70s, had to then become almost like housekeepers and help take care of the family to keep this family structure going. So we thought that was very important to explain, and we explained all that in the letter. And see, these are the kinds of things that I would never have even thought of. I would never even know had I not really gotten to know my client. And what I really learned from this is that when you do it this way, your goals as an attorney become your client's goals. So essentially what you do is you adopt your client's goals and your client's passions as your own. And if we can do that as lawyers for our clients, then we could be so much more effective as advocates. Just think of it this way. If you were representing your best friend, you would know everything about him. You would know his childhood or her childhood, how they grew up, what kind of person they were, how they met their spouse. And then if you could convey that to 6 strangers on a jury, imagine how powerful that story is and how much more compensation that jury would allow in their verdict. As opposed to just saying, yes, this is another person who had a fracture which healed. then they just don't treat you as a person. They treat you as a commodity, as a number, and then you get so much less money. And one of the ways that you could really maximize settlements is by focusing on this law in New York in the pattern jury instruction, which is all about the loss of enjoyment of life. And the loss of enjoyment of life is a component of pain and suffering. And what it really allows for is it allows someone to obtain compensation for things that they used to do before the incident that they can no longer do, such as their daily tasks and how this has affected them. And it can be so powerful. And I think that most lawyers in preparing cases, you don't want your client to necessarily say all the things they cannot do, because then some people might see them as a whiner or a complainer or a malingerer. What you really want is you want to find people like circle of friends, community witnesses who can come in and say, yes, this person used to do, all these activities. They used to play soccer, they used to run, they used to play tennis. Now I see them, but they're more like on the couch, they're at home, they barely can get up and down the stairs, and really have these witnesses, these independent witnesses, paint that picture. That'll make it so much stronger. So I hope this has been helpful, but I think the main point is that when you really open up a client's story like a book and you really dive in there, what you really do as a lawyer is you adopt your goal becomes the same as the client's goal. And then you really get engrossed and encapsulated in the work. And it's really a passion. And I hope we can continue doing it. We really love it. And when trials resume, it's going to be even better. But right now, during the pandemic, we're doing more demand letters. And hopefully we could get more settlements for injury victims and their families. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.